Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. In 2019, 14 million people experienced eating disorders, including almost 3 million children and adolescents. That's according to the World Health Organization. Eating disorders are a range of psychological conditions that cause unhealthy eating habits to develop. They might start with an obsession with food, body weight, body shape. Although the term eating is in the name, we can see that eating disorders are about more than food. Eating disorders can occur across a broad age range, but are often found in teens and those in their early 20s. It's also more common among women. Go figure. My guest on the show is a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and lead dietitian at Cairo Diet Clinic. Olajumoke Oshunsoya is also a public health specialist. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Eating disorders. People will wonder, how could that ever be? Especially in this kind of place where food is a bit difficult to come by. But can you tell us some of the major eating disorders and what are their characteristics?
All right. When people hear eating disorder, they really don't pay so much attention. They'll probably just glide through whatever they're saying.
Just like a game. You're playing.
Eating disorder is just an unwholesome feeding relationship, unwholesome food relationship, or abnormal eating behavior that can impact your overall health in terms of the gut disorder. It can lead to gut disorder. It can lead to hormonal imbalance, malnutrition.
No, but before we go to what it leads to, what does it look like? How do you identify it?
I can tell that someone has an eating disorder by just looking at you. For instance, by looking at you, I can tell if you have an eating disorder or not. But with consultation, assessment, that is when we get to know if somebody has an eating disorder or not. There are three major types of eating disorder. We have the anorexia nervosa, the bulimia nervosa, and the binge eating disorder. Those are the major eating disorders. And for anorexia nervosa, we have the persons affected will usually look at themselves as overweight, when in the real sense, they are actually underweight. Underweight in the sense that they have low weight for height.
Okay.
You know,
so
in terms of body mass index, yes. So they are thin, but when they look at themselves, they're always looking for ways to lose weight. They have intense fear for gaining weight.
They're actually trying to lose weight?
Yes. They have intense fear for gaining weight, you know, and they will do anything to avoid adding just even a pound of weight. They can do this by throwing away food. Those kind of people don't go for social gathering often because they won't be able to eat along with others. They will always restrict foods, and anytime they go out on social gathering and they probably end up eating, they may have to, you know, force themselves to probably you know, get it out of their system by vomiting or...
They induce a vomit.
Yes, they induce vomit by vomiting or using laxatives, you know, to purge, you know.
Okay.
But they don't overeat normally, and they are always excessively exercising, you know. So for someone with anorexia nervosa, there are three things. One, they are underweight. Two, they will do anything to restrict foods. And three, they will always exercise excessively to avoid adding weight.
Hungry? I mean, good old hunger will make you forget.
Some of them go on appetite suppressants to suppress hunger. They'll do anything. They're desperate. They have this intense fear. They just don't want to gain weight. There are some things that could predispose people to anorexia nervosa. For instance, if you have a trauma, you know, in time past, some studies have shown that especially women that have experienced sexual assault, you know, in their early years, they are at risk of this feeling of not being enough, you know, and always thinking that when they are thin, they will be acceptable, or they're going to be enough, or they'll have increased sense of self-worth.
You know, I'm a bit confused because the man was attracted enough to sexually harass the person. Mm-hmm. So why would the person be feeling not enough? Not too much?
Emotions are tricky. and they feel like if somebody can harass me, then I'm not good enough, not worthy of love, not worthy of self-love, and so they have low self-esteem. Emotions are so tricky, like I said. Also, there are some studies that show that anorexia nervosa could be also genetic in nature. You can actually, if it runs in the family, it could affect you, you know. And also the societal pressure of what a healthy weight looks like, you know. We have social media models.
Tell us about that. Then, social media, how does it affect, has it increased, you know, cases of anorexia or cases of eating disorders? Yes,
of course. We have a lot of adolescents. I must say that eating disorders, anorexia, nervosa, bulimia, and binge eating disorder, most of, especially anorexia and bulimia, usually start from the adolescent age, when adolescents are so under peer pressure, self-conscious, and always looking up to role models on social media. And it's worse now because almost every adolescent have a phone. You know, they can quickly scroll on Instagram and see this perfect shape that they just want to be like. So that's societal.
And the shape was probably
societal pressure. or the person probably have gone through surgery and the adolescent didn't know that. You know, so that societal pressure can actually influence that eating habits. They also don't want to.
Bulimia.
All right, bulimia. So let's go to bulimia. For someone with bulimia, the person is always eating excessively. For instance, they are always eating a food that could belong to, that can feed up to 2 to 3 people all at once. So they eat large, literally. And after eating large, they feel guilty. They want to compensate for that. And every time they eat large, every time they feel guilty, they will have to compensate by forcing themselves to vomit or to purge. They may use laxative to purge. They may feel bad about doing that, engaging in that kind of behavior. But the feeling is not enough. They will always do it. And it's common among those that jump from one diet to the other, basically, because they have a sense of, oh, I just want to lose weight. Bulimia nervosa can actually affect people with normal weight, not underweight as the anorexia nervosa. So someone with bulimia nervosa can have normal weight, but they are always wanted to also have these ideal body weights, you know, and because of that, they're always jumping from one diet to the other, restricting food.
I can see why it's a woman's affliction.
Yeah,
mostly.
yes. That's because women are more conscious about how they look than men are. So eating disorders affect men, but not as much as women, you know. So for bulimia nervosa, they eat large, feel guilty, force themselves to vomit or purge, then feel bad again, go on a restrictive diet, they're already having cravings again, they go into emotional eating, purge, and the cycle just go on.
What a roller coaster.
So they keep going on like that. And once a diet program is on social media, they're hop on it. Okay. You know, they're cutting away carbs, they're cutting away some vital nutrients.
So they try
anything that works. And then after some time, they feel cravings and they go to eating those things that they told themselves, oh, I'm not going to eat this. Then they binge on it and they try to compensate for it, purge and vomit. And they won't. They will hide it. Others, people with eating disorder will do anything to hide their condition until they're able to trust.
In front of people.
Yeah, they don't. For instance, for someone with bulimia nervosa, with that kind of large food that they always eat, and they always feel uncontrollable. They feel like they're having this lack of control over how much they eat. So they won't want to go for social gathering because they'll feel embarrassed. You know, they'll feel embarrassed, like, oh, I don't want them to see the quantity I'm going to eat.
We're told that there's a hormone or something, you know, in the brain that kicks in when you have had enough food and sort of tells you you've had enough, you're full. Doesn't that work for those with bulimia?
And that's because they already suffer from hormonal imbalance.
Ah, okay.
You know, most of the women that suffer from bulimia, nervosa and binge eating disorder. Binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa actually share a lot of similarities. They both binge on large size of food, feel uncontrollable, when eating, but the only difference between binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa is that in binge eating disorder, there is no compensation. They just eat and feel bad. They don't vomit or purge. They don't do any of that. So in both individuals with binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa, they actually have hormonal imbalance. That signal of the brain telling them to stop is not really very functional, and they just see that. And then you notice in how they eat even when they are not hungry. They eat until they are uncontrollably full, and even when they are uncontrollably full, they may not be able to stop themselves from eating. They just want to keep on eating.
Wow. Okay, so we know that one of the major symptoms is preoccupation with food.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other things that could show that somebody has an eating disorder? You have already said that you cannot really tell by looking. But if you see somebody who is too thin, wouldn't it be like a marker, a red flag?
Of course, for individuals with anorexia nervosa, they are the ones that are usually incredibly thin, And of course, caregivers will always raise alarm. Why are you so thin? What is wrong? And of course, for people with anorexia nervosa, they're going to be irritable.
Okay.
They're going to be. Some of them feel cold because of the suppression of the thyroid organ. So they will feel excessively cold. Some of them may feel faint or dizzy.
Definitely.
They are at risk of fainting. So adolescents that don't eat often because they're trying to achieve a certain body shape, some of them end up fainting, So it is when they actually faint, that is when there will be medical stabilization, then nutritional rehabilitation. But you will not see an individual with anorexia nervosa intentionally go for help, right? For someone with bulimia nervosa and binge eating disorder, they may seek for help, especially when they see that this dieting is not working,
okay.
I'm lacking control, something is wrong with me, especially for somebody with binge eating disorder. For binge eating disorder, they don't compensate for eating. So they're at risk of being overweight or obese. So they'll be very obese. Some of them will already have diabetes or hypertension. So they need help, and when they get to the end of everything, they will seek for help, literally. So for someone with bulimia nervosa and binge eating disorder, it's so easy for them to seek help because they're losing that control, and they themselves know that, I need help, and most of the time they're referred by GPs to the dietitians. But for anorexia nervosa, most of the time it's the caregivers that will raise alarm, or probably after the patient has already fainted. That is when the medical stabilization begins and nutrition rehabilitation.
I can understand, complications of binge eating disorders and bulimia being tending towards obesity, and maybe some non-communicable diseases because of all that food. But what is the complication of anorexia nervosa?
For anorexia nervosa, most of the organs are not getting enough energy. So the mass of the brain, the heart, the liver, they'll start shrinking, and so it will suppress the function of the brain, suppress the function of the liver, and that is why individuals with anorexia nervosa are at risk of hypercholesterolemia, which is high blood cholesterol, because the liver is not able to work effectively on cholesterol in the body to metabolize it. So they are at risk of fatty liver disease. They are at risk of this irregular heartbeats, or fast heartbeats, and which is the reason why they are at risk of death. Because if they are not properly, if the parents or caregivers didn't notice them on time, they can actually pass out. And during nutrition rehabilitation, if the refeeding is not gradual because of all this gut disorder,
it will shock the system.
It will shock the system and it can lead to death.
Wow. Anorexia can lead to death.
Definitely.
That is phenomenal.
And then that feeling of lack of self-worth, It's common among all the three types of eating disorders.
Okay, so let me pause you there and go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue this interesting discussion. Please stay with us. Right. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. We're talking about eating disorders with Olajumoke Oshusoya. And you can call in and ask anything you want to about eating disorders. The number is 0808-054-2233. It should be showing on your screen. And you can tweet at CTV_Mary A or send me email to moalale@channelstv.com. That's moalale@channelstv.com. Let's continue with this. Can you treat any of these eating disorders without referring the person to a psychiatrist or psychologist? Are some of them something that one can handle?
Yeah, it depends on the severity of the condition. You know, if the case is so severe, I mean, in terms of self-talk, there are some of them that are already suffering from some mental disorder, depression, anxiety disorder, you know, and the consultation time for dietitians may not cover that extent. For instance, I could be attending to a patient and she burst in tears and crying, you know, and trying to get herself back. You could actually
spend the whole day with the patient and just get this much progress.
Yes. So it depends on, can the person afford therapy or can the person afford to keep seeing me? Because treatment is not, it's not just like a prompt one. It's not like a one thing. It's not just like a one consultation therapy.
Let's quickly take this call. Sorry to cut you short. From Nasir. Hello, Nasir.
Hello.
Nasir is in Katsina. Can you hear me? What's your question?
Aloysius Obeta. My name is not Nasir. Aloysius Obeta.
I'm afraid Nasir cannot hear me. I can't hear him.
Hello?
Either. But let's go on with this. So
I was saying that treatment is not a one-time consultation thing, you know. And my one-time consultation is about assessing all the things I need to assess, your diet history, of which, of course, with the eating pattern, I would have noticed that you have an eating disorder. I would have detected that already, right? But in a case whereby you become uncontrollable during the consultation, in tears, so problem with eating disorder starts from and the thoughts, you know, and beliefs.
Let me see if Nasir is still on the line. Hello, Nasir.
Hello?
Yeah, there you are. What's your question?
So my question is, you know, someone that has, you know, the behavior of eating too much, how can the person know? You know, how can the person control that?
Over to my guest. How does the person control it? He knows he's eating too much. She knows. Let's use she. It's usually ladies. She knows she's eating too much. How can she control it? That's another thing. Can somebody actually make a decision and say, I'm going to control this?
It's not about decision. It's about knowledge. Having access to another knowledge. Having access to another belief system. That is what will make you, empower you to control it. For instance, if you are the kind of person that you're already eating uncontrollably, you know, that means that it could be that you're already restricting some certain foods and you're craving those foods. That could be one reason. Another reason could be that you are going through some things in your life and you're using foods as coping mechanisms. You
like
know?
A broken heart. You didn't mention
like
that.
Like a broken
Girls eat a lot when it comes to, somebody jilted them.
Yes. So even this broken heart thing, it can be two-way traffic, you know. One, the person could say, oh, the guy probably left me because I'm too fat. And then because of that, eat more and just lose all sense of control. Or the person could go on a very restrictive diet to show that I can be thin too, and then overdo it and now maybe get entangled with bulimia nervosa to always compensate for anything overeating by, you know, vomiting and purging. So it's not just about determining and say, I'm not going to eat again.
The person needs help.
You need help to get exactly. You need the right information to build a healthy relationship with food.
One more time and ask Chijioke to ask his question. Chijioke, what's your question?
Okay, my question is, at what point does this eating order, how do we know when it makes somebody fat? Because there are some people I've met, they eat a lot, they are thin, they are slim. Then I see some other people, they don't eat much, but they're very fat. And then people keep saying it's about what they eat. And so what's the knowledge about seeing people so much? And then another person eats very much and they're still slim. We need knowledge about that.
Chijioke, you heard the question. It's complex. But first of all, let me ask, before you answer that question, some of these people who eat a lot don't actually have a disorder, right? They're just big eaters.
If there are some ways you know that you have binge eating disorder, even if you're a big eater.
Okay,
there is a difference between big eaters and big eaters. There is a type of big eaters by you eating so much, like the quantity can fit 2 to 3 people. That is another level of big eating, you know. And when you are eating it, you always feel like you don't have control. That is how you know that you have an eating disorder. When you feel like I cannot stop, no matter how I try, my strong will is not helping in this matter, and that even worsen your self-worth or self-esteem. You think I can't seem to do anything right.
So let's quickly answer Chijioke's last question, which is, how do you explain someone eating and not getting fat, and people who restrict themselves? They're just small eaters, but they're big.
In that case, there could be the thyroid disorder, which is different from an eating disorder. If somebody is thin and the person is the person eating in front of you? If the person is eating in front of you, then we can ascertain that the person does not have an eating disorder. But if the person is just telling you, I'm eating, but I'm not fat, that means that the person is probably compensating somewhere, and is not telling you what he or she is doing. You know. But if the person have thyroid disorder, that means that you are eating so much and you have hyperthyroidism, your metabolism is just too fast, and you may need treatment, a medical treatment for that.
Let's quickly see if we still have Kalib on the line from Ikorodu. Hello. That means Kalib is not there. But do try again, Kalib. So, you made a very specific point there. Eating in front of you.
Yeah.
That's one of the how should I say, giveaway things.
Yeah, for instance, someone that is fat, that is telling you, I don't eat a lot, but I'm fat. Is the person eating in front of you? Do you know the size of the food that the person is eating? Or the person is just telling you, I don't really eat much, but I don't know, I just get fat, you know? Until the dietitian assesses the diet history of such individual, you can't really tell for sure that the person is not eating a lot, you know? And it is during the dietary assessments, you know, and other biochemical assessment and every other assessment carried out by a dietitian that the person will know if it is the thyroid disorder or an eating disorder.
All right. At this point, we really need to go because we've run out of time. Okay. But I'm going to bring you back. And we'll talk about other things. This has been so interesting. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
I really need to thank you also, Nasir and Chijioke and Kalib. Thank you so much for calling in, and everybody who's listening in and watching. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I am Mary Alala Yusuf.